Who are the most loved and hated Mario characters according to the fans? Well, if we look online, we can clearly see that people really despise Pink Gold Peach. But Luigi, on the other hand, has virtually no haters. Even when compared to Mario, who is also loved by the fans, it's clear that Luigi is still the favorite brother. When asked on Reddit if anyone else prefers Luigi to Mario, there was a clear trend in the responses. Of course, he has 10 times more personality than Mario. I think I relate to Luigi more than Mario. He has an actual personality. The green man is superior. Luigi just feels more relatable. Mario's the fearless hero, while Luigi's the one who's nervous, a little awkward, and constantly scared. He's the underdog, the player too, but that's exactly why people connect with him. It's almost like he has this goofy yet heroic vibe to him that's hard not to love. You can't help but root for him. And honestly, he's gotten so popular that Nintendo literally gave him his own year. Back in 2013, it was officially the year of Luigi, and Nintendo dropped a bunch of games and content all about him. That's kind of wild for someone who started as a simple green palette swap of Mario. Fans didn't just accept him, they celebrated him. So while Luigi is loved for his charming personality and underdog nature, this next character, on the other hand, is a different story. And before I reveal who, the YouTube gods actually told me that no one is subscribed to the channel with their knuckle. So let's see if you can change that by punching that subscribe button below. And let's get back to the most hated characters now, starting with Baby Mario. Because the very first impression of this character was already off to a terrible start. His debut was in Yoshi's Island, where you had him on your back. And anytime, and I mean anytime, you would get hit, Mario would get put in this bubble and would continuously start to cry until you went to him. And this alone has to be one of the most annoying sound effects in video games ever. But that's only half of the reason for the hate, because the other half comes from his role in the Mario Kart series. Now, when he debuted in Double Dash, fans didn't mind too much, but after each game he made an appearance in, fans got continually more and more annoyed at his inclusion, mainly for the fact that this character started the rise of a bunch of baby characters coming into more and more Mario Kart games, which fans just saw as lazy inclusions. When asked why people hate the babies on GameFAQs, a user said, "I believe the main reason is that there are more deserving characters that don't get in. Baby Daisy's a great example. The only reason she's in the game is because she uses the exact same model as Baby Peach." So fans really blame Baby Mario for all the other baby clone characters, and for the reason that other fan favorite characters don't get in. So while Baby Mario's first inclusion didn't go so well, the next character's first game couldn't have gone any better. What started as simply a side character in one Mario game turned into her being included in many more main Mario games and being playable in almost every spin-off game. This is Rosalina. For starters, she has a lot more of an in-depth backstory compared to most Mario characters. Her origin is revealed in a storybook in Mario Galaxy, where we can learn about her childhood, the loss of her mother, and how she came to care for the Lumas. This sad backstory gave fans a surprisingly emotional connection to a character in a franchise not known for its storytelling. This made her feel a lot more emotionally grounded when compared to Peach, for example. And a lot of fans just saw her as that, the better version of Peach. She just seems like a stronger, more sophisticated person in general than Peach or Daisy. Also, her storybook in Galaxy 1 gives her a pretty depressing backstory. That makes her automatically more interesting than 95% of the Mario cast. Not to mention, she is definitely more powerful than Peach, with her interesting space powers and abilities. Plus, since the fans hold the Galaxy games in such high regard in general, Rosalina benefits from her association with those games. Her character is linked to an amazing experience, inheriting some of the love and nostalgia associated with those games. However, this next character didn't get any of that same love. Or set of characters, I should say, because I'm talking about the Broodals. They were the big new enemy introduced in Mario Odyssey, and were just kinda there. For starters, the designs are pretty generic and forgettable. Like, there's the tall one, the short one, the girl, and the fat one. Other than that, they have no differentiating personality traits, which makes fans just see them as pretty much a worse version of the Koopalings. I feel like the Broodals lack the same recognizability as the Koopalings, making them very forgettable in comparison. They did feel annoying and not that memorable. They just have ridiculous costumes, and they're so easy to beat that they don't seem formidable, just annoying. Not to mention that they take up so many boss battles in Odyssey 2. Perhaps if they had only 1 or 2 battles, people wouldn't mind as much, but because they just kept coming back, it continually got more and more annoying for people who didn't find them all that interesting in the first place. Plus, Mario bosses historically have some of the coolest designs in the series. Strong, intimidating foes that have joined forces with the Koopa army. And then we have bunnies in this game, wearing some pretty odd costumes. Combine that with their really weird voices. You mean it just again? Yeah, they don't even seem like a threat either. From some of the most hated Mario villains to one of the most loved ones, we have good old Bowser. The first thing that's noticeable about Bowser is his design. He fits perfectly in the Mario universe, and his horns, shell, and fiery breath create a visually striking appearance for a main villain. Bowser is also very strong too. We can see he leads a massive army of loyal minions, from Goombas to Koopa Troopas, plus he commands giant fortresses filled with traps and lava, which makes him feel like a truly tough antagonist you have to face. And he is clearly seen as a threat within the Mushroom Kingdom's residents. He's the real deal in this universe. But even with all that imposing power behind him, to contrast this, he still has a soft and funny side that fans love, especially in the Mario RPGs like Paper Mario and Bowser's Inside Story. His personality has really come to life. He's not just a villain, he's a character with emotions, awkward moments, and a lot of humor too. I mean, just look at the Mario movie. One of the fan favorite scenes was Bowser singing a song about how much he loves Peach. To add to his more complex side though, he has even teamed up with Mario in certain situations too, showing that there's more to him than just kidnapping Peach, which overall gives him the perfect balance of funny yet intimidating. But now we're gonna transition into one of the most unusual mainstay Mario characters. I'm talking about Birdo. And her design is just weird, but not in like an appealingly strange way of a Mario character, but more of an uncanny way. Like she can creep people out. Almost looks like an odd fan design for Yoshi's girlfriend. Seriously, like what is that thing I'm looking at? Are we talking about a nose or a mouth here? Not to mention the sounds that Birdo makes are odd too. I believe this is the only main Mario character that doesn't say any words, but just groans and moans with a weirdly unsettling voice. When asked on Reddit why people didn't like Birdo, there seemed to be a general consensus too. Because she's a weird character, she's effectively a reverse Yoshi. You either like her for her weirdness or go, WTF is that thing. Yup, that's exactly how I feel about Birdo. She's reverse Yoshi without the charm and is just weird. I find her voice annoying too. And what makes this worse is that her whole inclusion in the Mario series just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to fans either. Like, why is she a reoccurring character? More than anything, it really just feels like she's included so much merely because she's a pink dinosaur and Yoshi needs a girlfriend. Nintendo even specifically had to add a bunch of girly pieces of clothing to her to sell this look, like this red bow and ring. So while it's clear that Birdo was never really liked at all, even from the very beginning, Waluigi on the other hand continues to grow in popularity every single year. One of the main reasons for this is that he is often left out or forgotten by Nintendo. More and more new games just don't include him, particularly the Mario spin-offs. He has been left out of Smash Bros in particular so many times that it's turned into its own meme, especially when compared to Wario, who's had a bunch of his own games, whereas Waluigi has had none. In fact, he doesn't even appear in Wario's games, who's the character that's most like him. All of this makes people root for Waluigi, like they want to support this guy and give him the justice that he deserves. But besides all that, fans genuinely love his funny personality too. To put it simply, people like Waluigi because of his personality. It's his voice, his catchphrases, his charismatic and bragging nature, his dance moves, and just his general tendency to make people laugh. In many ways, he's a walking meme. His goofy dance moves, exaggerated animations, and chaotic troll-like behavior make him one of the most entertaining characters in the Mario universe. Not to mention, all his voice lines have become iconic with the fans, like his most recognizable quote being,
Wah.
and then there's others like,
Waluigi time!
or,
Waluigi #1!
they're pure gold too. He sounds like a cartoon villain who never actually wins, and somehow that just makes him more likable. So while Waluigi is the clear favorite purple character, Nabbit on the other hand is the unfavorable purple character, I guess. He is often criticized for being boring and lacking a compelling backstory. Unlike many other reoccurring Mario characters with established personalities and lore, Nabbit remains largely an unknown, with his motivations and origins non-existent. This lack of depth makes him feel like an uninspired addition to the roster, and his design is weird too. Like, his eyes don't blink and look nothing like the other characters' eyes, so is this really just someone in a costume then? And it didn't help that when fans did get to play as him, they didn't like his game style either. Nabbit can't take damage by any enemies, and he's not able to collect power-ups too, essentially making him the easy mode of the games he's in. Plus, in certain games, if you wanted to play as all 4 characters, one person had to be Nabbit, essentially forcing this disliked game style onto players. And while it can be good for young kids, most players felt his gameplay felt equally as boring as the character itself. Not to mention the amount of games Nintendo keeps putting him into, rather than using more established and liked Nintendo characters. And really, his character traits are nothing too. Like, what can you say about him, other than he steals things, I guess? This is such a nothing character. Yeah, he really just didn't bring anything to the table, which is unlike Yoshi, who changed the game completely when he came out. While this character was immediately liked in Super Mario World, fans really started to fall in love with him a few years later when he got his very own game, Yoshi's Island. Here, players got to see that he raised Mario as a baby, literally protecting him from harm and doing everything possible to keep him safe, regardless of how annoying he was. And his loyalness to Mario has been apparent ever since then throughout the entire series. At his core, Yoshi does all the hard work to help Mario succeed. Whether it's carrying Mario across the ground, eating up enemies with his tongue, or sacrificing himself mid-jump so Mario can reach the ledge, Yoshi always puts others first. And there was a clear trend in the responses for a post that asked why people love this character. He is just adorable in general, and extraordinarily powerful for what he looks like. Who won't say Yoshi is the best character? He is just adorable. Let's not forget the main part about him, his voice. Honestly, in my opinion, his voice is so adorable and it really fits him. So clearly fans love that there's a certain cuteness to this character. From his design, personality, and voice, it gives off an adorable type of vibe. And beyond his heartwarming nature, Yoshi also brings some of the most unique and enjoyable gameplay mechanics in the Mario universe. From his flutter jump that lets players float through the air, to his ability to turn enemies into eggs and throw them, Yoshi changes how the game is played in fun and creative ways. So players would always get excited when they found a Yoshi egg. But a character that players were a lot less excited to see was possibly the most hated Mario character out of them all, Pink Gold Peach. And the first noticeable thing people don't like is her design. It's literally a reskin for Peach in the most boring way. They simply changed the texture to this gold pinkish color. The model is exactly the same as before, which made fans see her as an even lazier inclusion. Not to mention that she literally has no personality. Her voice is exactly the same as Peach's, but with this weird robotic and underwater filter on it. But what fans really hate the most about her is that a lot of players see her as taking spots for other characters that didn't get included in the roster. When a user asked on Reddit, "What's with all the hate for Pink Gold Peach?" a fan responded with this: "It's a symptom of a larger problem. That being Nintendo's preference on making skins rather than adding new characters that people have been asking for, like Diddy Kong and Egad. Plus, Mario Kart is all about seeing your favorite Mario characters from the main games in a totally different setting. But Pink Gold Peach isn't from any other Mario games. She's an original Mario Kart character. This stings even more for fans when their favorite characters didn't get in. And even her concept doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The connection here is that she is like the girlfriend to Metal Mario, but Metal Mario is just a power-up, not a different character from the Mario universe? So does Mario need a separate version of Peach for every power-up now? No, that would be dumb, and that's what a lot of people people think about this character.